Welcome back to Mid-East in Depth, where we take a look at the top talking points across the Middle East. Sahar Aziz writes in Lebanon's Daily Star that 4 years on, the Egyptian revolution has failed. Aziz writes, "It all seems surreal, those 18 days in 2011 when Egyptians broke down the wall of fear to demand the ouster of President Hosni Mubarak's regime. As television screens across the world shows millions of Egyptians bravely confronting violent security forces, Egyptians proved they were not docile subjects relegated to the status of an indefinitely oppressed people." She continues, "The people's message was loud and clear. They deserved a democratic system that would provide them with a life of dignity where the government served the people, not the other way around." She explains, "Indeed, Egypt's new leaders should be cognizant that the same economic, social and political factors that contributed to the January 2011 uprising still fester, making the likelihood of a future revolution quite real." She adds, "At the time of the uprising, most Egyptians' real wages had contracted so much that approximately 20% of Egyptians fell below the poverty line and another 25% hovered just above it." She concludes, "At some point, Egyptian President Abdel-Fattah al-Sisi and his government will be held responsible for the country's myriad economic and political problems." M. Hakan Yavuz and Mujib Khan write in the New York Times that for decades Turkey was a dutiful ally that mostly followed America's lead. However, they comment, "But since the Justice and Development Party's re-election in 2007, it has asserted a more independent foreign policy in the Middle East, which often puts it at odds with Washington." The article explains, "There have been sharp disagreements over the 2013 coup in Egypt, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and the need for intervention in Syria. Turkey's critics have called into question its reliability as a NATO ally, including the fight against the radical Wahhabi group known as the Islamic State." It continues, "But much of this concern is misguided. The ongoing crises in the Middle East have only underscored Turkey's pivotal geostrategic position. It's no surprise that Pope Francis, President Vladimir Putin, and Prime Minister David Cameron have visited Ankara in the past few months." It explains, "The United States has long allowed client states like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel to pursue short-sighted goals in the Middle East. This has only brought despotism and strife. Washington's failure to fully support the democratic government of Mohamed Morsi and his Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt contributed to its collapse, and so to the instability and violence that have occurred there since." The article ends, "To avoid any more such calamities, policymakers in Washington and other Western capitals should abandon their counterproductive approach. They should embrace Turkey's growing and positive engagement in the Middle East." For more updates, please visit levant.tv. And subscribe to Mid-East In Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.